Oh, we're live.
Oh, did you did you request? Did you? It says access denied.
Oh, what? Let
For
me
the
have a quick
Google
look. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Dishes and Dimes and Hoop Talks. We're just getting ready and register with everyone. I think you should be allowed. Let me make you owner. It says you're allowed.
Weird. Okay, now it's letting me in. Okay.
Okay, perfect. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Welcome to another episode of Dishes and Dimes and Hoop Talks. We're literally just figuring out how to do technology and everything like that. We're also learning how to be punctual. I lost track of that in quarantine. I really don't remember what days of the weeks are, what like timing is, what actually you mean when you say I'm leaving in 5 minutes, but like it means like 30 minutes. I don't remember time. So I'm trying to get better at it. How are you, Yas? How's everything?
I'm good. Yeah, working like now with media and whatnot, it just exposes how technologically illiterate I am. I thought I was okay. But no, I still have ways to go. So like kudos to people who balance several social media accounts, streaming, Twitch, IG Live. Like I do not know. That's wizardry right there.
Do you want to work for us, actually?
Yeah, actually.
Do you want to send us a DM?
You won't be paid.
Yeah, sorry. It's not going to be a paid thing.
Hey, guys. I have to sneak out. Okay.
How you doing, girl?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We're good. We literally just started, so you're right on time.
We're letting people know how we're just getting used to being timing literate and just punctual and learning how to do technology because
like
we
we're
have
really
no
bad at
idea.
this.
I know. We're like the stereotypical women. Like we shouldn't be this way. We need to show men that we know what we're doing. Yeah. We're like with the one finger typing.
Yeah.
Crap out. It's fine. I'm sorry, guys. But yeah. I guess we can dive right into the game last night.
Yes.
Did you guys have managed to catch the Nuggets and the Clippers?
Yeah, I started watching, I think after the first quarter when I saw that it was actually going to be a game. Like I wasn't going to watch, but the Nuggets are very stressful to watch. Like I do not know how Denver fans do it because like to not be able to gauge whether the team is having a good night or a bad night. Like they'll be down 20 and it's like they're not really out of it. Like they can still make this a game. That's just incredibly stressful. So kudos to Denver fans who cope with that. But yeah, when I saw that, Denver's starting out strong for once. It was a really, really good game. And even like that run that the Lakers made in the fourth quarter just made it like even better for me. Like I thought that it looked disastrous, but I'm like, no, like they need this. they need to make this a little close. They need to close it out well. And Denver just keeps responding. I feel like we always have like that. It doesn't happen often, but there's always a team that breaks through where they come out of that unserious contending phase that they're in, and they become like a legitimate NBA contending team. And I think that's what we're seeing for the Nuggets. We saw it for the Warriors. We saw it for the Raptors. We've seen it for every team, you know. So I think that's what we're witnessing with the Nuggets, and it's been so fun to see Jamal Murray looking like breakthrough season Steph Curry out there.
Honestly. Steph Curry. I saw this insane stat that Mark J. Spears posted. He said that Jamal Murray is shooting 72.7%, so 8 of 11 from 3-point range in clutch time this postseason, which is the best such percentage in a single postseason in ESPN Stats Info available data set with minimum 10 attempts. And clutch time is when the score is within 5 points in the game's final 5 minutes. Like, where did that come from for Jamal Murray? I know. I was like, that sounds like a scale accurate. But I get it. I know. But I never like thought he would be this kind of a person. Like I didn't think he had this kind of confidence in him. And I think that's kind of where it comes from, right? Like he's very confident. he knows he can do it, and he knows that he can just go and will through. And I feel like that's kind of what you lack with some superstars and some people who are kind of in the same range of Jamal Murray, that are kind of like either they're becoming big or they're setting their foot in the ground, and they kind of just lack. Yeah, exactly. They kind of just lack like a certain confidence that you have to have as the guy that you want to be as a superstar. And I feel like Jamal is just, he's like, he knows who he is and he just goes for it.
Yeah, I think what's awesome about him is that he did everything the right way. Like he went through the process of development for a young point guard, like in a very just like he did the work to become the player that he is today. Like everything you're seeing on the court, how he's initiating contact, how he's finishing even when he doesn't get the contact. Like he does this really cool thing in the paint where he'll initiate contact and he'll look like he got hit, but you won't hear the whistle, and he'll still square up and get that shot off. Like it's insane. You don't see this unless a point guard is like in their late 20s. Usually it's just an air ball, or they just, they flub it. But he's been just so poised. Even if multiple plays in a row don't go well for him, he's still going to do the right play, make the right decision, which has been so impressive from him, making the right pass at any given moment. Like he was the one who was spearheading that 6 consecutive turnovers in the fourth quarter. But even despite that, he comes and he closes out the game for them. Like any other player would have just been rattled.
Right.
With Rondo getting right up in him, even though like a few of those should have been a foul, but seeing him continue to just go within their offense in the flow of things, like that's where I'm starting to see like the leap with him, because shooting, it comes and goes. He can have 3 consecutive games where he's not shooting as well as he has been, but if he continues making these decisions and playing like much better defense than what we're used to seeing from him, then that's really good for the Nuggets.
I mean, if he starts to play defense, we could probably just have him come play for the Raptors. That's the only thing he's missing, right? It's just the defense. Come on, Jamal, come home.
Yeah, no, we're
so bad.
Nurse will get him right in the first.
We're speaking right now. All of these
Nurse will get him right in the first 2 games of the season. No, it's been amazing, and I think what's making it even more impressive is that he's doing this against the likes of LeBron and Kawhi. It's not just like middling or bad teams. These are defensive minded teams. These are teams with superstars, bona fide superstars on them. And he's not only matching the competition, he's beating the competition. I think that's really, really super impressive when you consider that he's only like 23 years old.
Yeah, he's a baby.
Yeah. He's a baby. The fact that he's doing
that's
this
insane.
And his confidence is just. I like watching him. I was just like, I knew he was confident, but just the way that the poise in which he's gone about these games, especially being down to a LeBron-led team, knowing that you lose this game and your season's over, and doing it over and over again. It's just, I don't know. Like I'm at this point where I want the Nuggets to get a chip, because what they're doing is just, they deserve it. They deserve
No,
it.
you bring up
honestly in this scenario, like who else would we really want to win? Right? Miami, Celtics, Lakers.
Yeah,
Go
I'm
ahead.
honestly,
Yes, sorry.
I'm not mad at like the prospect of the Lakers winning, because AD's had like a phenomenal playoff run. Like if anything, I want him to be rewarded for spending years in the wreckage of New Orleans. I'm actually like really impressed with him. He set out to do exactly what he said he wanted to do, which was, leave a team where he spent years not getting anywhere, come to a team that's a franchise that's like very demanding because of, the historical context of, their history and all that, and then delivering in the biggest moments. So he didn't even have that bad of a game. I think the Lakers, they were switching a lot, so he only got like 2 rebounds, which won't get it done at all. That's not really acceptable from a power forward. But I'm okay with. I've come to terms if the Lakers come out of this series, but the Nuggets have just been so great. And like, another thing that's been impressive about both Jokic and Jamal is that, and we haven't even gotten into Jokic yet, but what's been
I was just gonna say,
yeah, what's been so impressive about like such a young duo is that they've been like their backs have been against the wall like so continuously, and you would think that would be like just super taxing mentally and just exhausting physically, but they're just coming out swinging again and again and again, and I see so many opportunities for them to just give up because you look at the context of the bubble and all of that, but no, it doesn't. Like Jokic literally had COVID and he's coming out.
Honestly, didn't half the team have COVID? Half the Nuggets team,
half their team. Like I remember, I think it was like 7 guys or something got sick. And it seems to have not affected them
at all.
That's insane. If anything, it gave them like Superman powers. Like it was like that juice in that Michael Jordan movie, and it like got them going. But I think, like I said, Sandy raised a really good point too, where she said that they're doing all this against the best players in the world. LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard. You're just missing like KD in that ratio. But the fact that they're doing this it's phenomenal. But speaking of like how this whole series is going, do you guys think that they have what it takes to win it against the Lakers? Like the Clippers, or because the Clippers were also up 2-1 or 3-1, right? Against 3-1, I think it was against Nuggets.
Yeah, they're up 3-1 versus them. Yeah, so I think that the thing is they made a change. I think it was halfway through game 2. Where they were like down 20 or something. And then they made a comeback and they led until the final 2 seconds. And then AD had like that bailout game winner. But ever since, the Nuggets have been outplaying them for like 5 consecutive quarters now. And I don't know specifically what the change is, but judging by what some Laker fans are saying is that they're putting like more athleticism versus the transition lineup. So like when it's LeBron and bench players, like when it's LeBron and then like Caruso, Morris and KCP, like when they have those small kind of unathletic lineups that have more shooting around LeBron, Denver comes out with like Dozier, with Jeremy Grant, with like more bounce and people that can switch, and they have Plumlee out there who can play when AD is off the court. So I think that has been the change for them, just countering with a little more athleticism, defending the paint as best as they could, forcing the Lakers to settle for open threes. Like if you saw, KCP and Rondo got a lot of wide open looks, and that was by design. Like that was intentional. So I think that's the change that we're seeing. I would like to see the Nuggets like maybe take less risky passes. Like I think those cross court, throws to the corner are costing them possessions. I know that's like part of their half court offense.
That's what they do.
But maybe they can just be a little smarter about the decision making in that, because I see some catches where like you'll see Gary Harris like have to like jump back in order to catch. So I'm like, maybe don't do that in the playoffs. But I'm sure Jokic can adjust. Like I thought he was hitting some circus shots last game, but I don't think it was his best passing game. I think he had a lot of passing lane steals that the Lakers got. So I'm expecting him to adjust. I'm expecting him to be a little more patient and maybe finish instead of throwing it, dumping it off to like a guard under the basket. So I think Denver has like all the tools really to make this a series or take it all together. They're of course they don't have Anthony Davis and LeBron James, but they have Jamal Murray, who's visibly taking a leap. Like I think the issue is that the Lakers and Clippers they prepared for like last season's Jamal Murray or regular season Jamal Murray. They didn't anticipate a 23-year-old making a huge like superstar leap in the midst of the playoffs. No one
saw it coming.
That's a good gamble about having young guys. They can make those leaps when you need the most. We saw it with Fred in the finals alone last year. mean, he carried that over to a season of being a fridge all-star. So that it's totally possible for players to make that leap in game. And that's what I think has been the benefit. Jokic has already had a playoff mode. We know that. So it's good that Jamal caught up with them.
So do you think it's more so a matter of the bubble kind of expediting the growth? Because it's, I mean, you know, the other day I saw a clip of right before, I think it was the game 1 of Raptors Warriors, and you can hear the crowd, "Let's go Raptors," and the energy was just crazy. And if you're not completely locked in, you know that energy is going to affect you. So I think, like, I've been thinking, like, has the bubble kind of made it, because they're insulated and they don't have that. I mean, not to say that it doesn't feel like a playoff game, but I can imagine it doesn't have that same intensity of a playoff game. So I don't know, is that kind of influencing the way that they approach the game? Is it helping some of these younger players kind of feel a little bit more comfortable in the game because they don't have that added pressure of the crowd?
That's a really good point. I feel like it really
Oh, is it freezing for you too, Sandy?
Yeah, I can't hear you. Nora? Oh, I think
Wait, she's probably gonna log in and log out again. Yeah. She's gonna refresh. But no, what you said was I'll let her pick up when she comes back. But what you mentioned was a good point. I don't think it's going to affect star players and all stars as much. But when it comes to young guys who can get more easily rattled in opposing arenas, I think it's totally valid, and that maybe for role players too, where a lot of players their hot streaks, and I think that has had a toll on them. So yeah, no, that's totally true. I don't know if it speeds up development, maybe because they don't have to travel. I think that could be a reason,
right? And that does help. They don't have to travel. They're not in opposing arenas.
Training,
and everybody's in one particular like space. It's kind of like your team gels a lot quicker, a lot easier. Because you're surrounded by them, and those are the only people you could talk to in the bubble. So I think it's maybe helping with chemistry as well, right?
Yeah, and also that just makes what happened with the Clippers even more ridiculous. Like, how do you mess up chemistry? You guys literally live on the same floor,
right next to
like a month and a half now.
Like, figure it out. Like, have a therapy session with each other. Like, do something. You don't have that excuse. I'm sorry. Like, chemistry. It just annoys me because it's like Gasol and Kawhi like played 5 games together last season before the playoffs.
Yeah.
And
no, that's totally true.
So, figure it out. Like,
so what we're anticipating is game 4 tonight, Celtics Heat. So last game we saw Gordon Hayward reintegrated into the starting lineup for the Celtics, who, they've been missing him since hey.
Sorry guys, this is what I'm talking about. We need a man to help me out with technology.
You need a dude.
Sorry about it.
Don't say that.
I'm trying to be a woman and independent and all that, but this is just, I'm like cursing at my thing and I'm hoping I'm not live. Okay, we're good. Literally, I'm like dropping F-bombs and I'm like, I'm hoping I'm not live. Hopefully nobody can hear me. But okay, we're good to go. Sorry about that.
We're just moving on to game 4 versus Celtics Heat.
Oh no. I came back at the wrong time.
I was trying to vamp while you were gone. I was like, yeah.
I'm not going to stand it.
Your point about the absence of fans and how it might have an effect on young players in particular. I think you were talking about that before.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Thank you, Yasmin. You're the best. Yeah, I feel like it definitely ranges from player to player because it depends on what kind of person you are and how you thrive in a certain situation. So, like you said, Sandy, for some young players, it probably bodes well for them if they perform at a level right now where there's not much expectation, there's not a lot of trash talk in the audience. Like it's just them, their teammates, and most of all, it's just people that are going to be there to make sure that they succeed and they thrive. But then there are other people, like I would say, like Pascal, who probably thrive with fan presence and just having people around and boosting them. So
Yeah.
I feel like it ranges from player to player. So it looks like completely Jamal Murray has just taken that and done whatever he could with it in the best way possible. And then you saw on the other hand, how Pascal couldn't really come through because we don't really know what the reason is, but I would say maybe a part of it could be, you know, just because he does get off on having fans around him and he gets off of that energy and everything. So yeah, I feel like it ranges.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I think it depends. I think it's Pascal's start as like a role player off the bench. Those kind of players thrive off of energy from the fan base. So I think that was his I guess inexperience shining through. And then also like the hiatus I think was just especially harsh on him, not playing you know, on court basketball for so many months, especially someone who hasn't played basketball many years. Right. So I think that was just like exacerbated by that. So yeah, no, you're definitely right. And I think we're seeing like that. I think it was earlier on in the bubble that shooters were especially hot. I don't know if it's translated after that. I'm not too sure, but I feel like some weird stuff has just been happening in the bubble. Like I feel like every game has something strange or extraordinary happen, whether it's like game winners or like unimaginable runs. It feels like 20 point lead means nothing. Like it's actually like feels like it actually means nothing. Like, it's so odd. Like my team could be down and I won't feel uncomfortable until maybe the final 7 minutes. Then I'm like, oh, we're not coming back from this.
You're right.
But
it's honestly, almost like you should just tune in for the last quarter and that's it. Like that's what you're gonna get, the actual basketball.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like it's shocking. But so we were just moving on to Celtics versus Heat. Game 4 is tonight. Did you guys catch game 3?
Yeah, it feels like it was centuries ago, though.
Yeah, it was several days ago. But yeah.
Yeah, can we talk about that? Like, was that because of the NFL on Monday and Tuesday?
I think it was Monday Night Football. So,
they don't want.
Anyways,
can you guys imagine if they gave Kyle like just 2 more nights?
Right, we would be in the Eastern Conference Finals,
just
but that's
2 more nights. Literally, we would be there. Like, I'm not even joking.
Yeah. No, it's let me
34-year-old veteran.
I just got over that series. Let me not.
I know I can't open that rabbit hole again.
Yeah, no, I'm healing.
But I also feel like that's probably why I find it so hard to watch this series.
The series in particular?
Oh, she's cutting out again.
Yeah, because like it just feels like it should have been us. Like every little thing I watch, I'm just like, it should not be the Celtics, it should be Miami and Raptors. And that's why it's so hard to watch it because each bucket and each time they miss something, I'm like, oh, Raptors wouldn't gotten that. Like Celtics, you got stuck. But like they actually made it to the round. So I am like, what am I talking about?
I'm just glad we did
that. It hurts. It really hurts.
But it's true. I find solace in the fact that we didn't go out sad. Like Pascal went out sad, but the Raptors went out swinging. Like that's all I care about. We didn't get swept. We didn't lose in 5 like the Rockets. We didn't lose in 5 like the Bucks. We didn't disintegrate like the Clippers. Like we played Raptors basketball to the very end, and at least Nick Nurse put them in a position to have a shot until like the final minute. So
right.
You know, what can you do? But yeah, now I'm all sad.
I know, me too. I'm just like,
okay, so wow, the universe really doesn't want us to talk about Celtics Heat.
Nah, no doesn't want to talk about it. No, it's like, bye.
No, it's like my connection.
You know when you're talking to somebody, you're like, you just don't want to. You're like, oh, I can't hear you. Can you hear me? So yeah, the Celtics.
She'll come in. Okay.
Yeah, she'll jump back.
So
in.
game 3.
Yeah.
Gordon Hayward came back to the starting lineup for the Celtics. They didn't have him till since he got a pretty serious ankle sprain versus the Sixers. What was that? I think it was the middle of the series. I think it was early game 3 or something.
Yeah.
I feel like it was like in the middle of the series versus the Sixers where he got injured. But anyways, so he was absent during the Raptors series, and we saw that the Celtics struggled with that zone with his absence. Like he's like their second playmaker right behind Kemba. Like Kemba's not your classic point guard where he's a walking 8 assists or something. So when he's not scoring, he's pretty useless. but Hayward was like their secondary playmaker. He gets in the middle of that zone and he passes. He gets that free throw mid-range really well. And I don't know if he would have made the biggest difference versus the Raptors because the Raptors can play man-to-man defense. The Heat, on the other hand, can't. So, well, they can, but it won't be like the results. So they resort to playing really, really good zone defense. That's something they've perfected through the season. They're really good at putting their wings at the front and having them like collapse on whoever has the ball. Like it's really it's very synchronized for them. So Hayward was brought in, and I started to see the benefits of having Hayward in the middle of the zone right away. He was able to get the ball, attract another defender, and find like a shooter really quickly, which was good for them. I don't know how, like, I feel like the Heat made it a game in those final moments. Like they were down a lot and then they found rhythm in the final few minutes of the game. And they almost made a comeback, but then a few things didn't go their way. What do you think needs to happen for the Heat to kind of avoid the momentum swinging for the Celtics?
I mean, for one, Jimmy needs to be who he was in the first 2 games, right? He kind of shrunk because ultimately the thing with Jimmy is that he'll miss like every shot, and then fourth quarter for whatever reason, all of a sudden he can make all his shots. He can make all the defensive plays that he needs to make, and it just wasn't there for him in the last game. And I think they're depending on him as their go-to guy when it gets tough, and he just wasn't there, and it becomes a little bit of a struggle for them when Jimmy's not on.
Everything looks more difficult
often. Right, exactly. So for the sake of, especially if they're in a close game, in this next game, they're going to need Jimmy to show up and be Mr. Buckets. I think that's the first thing I noticed right off the bat. They're going to have to, because Jalen was balling last game. He really was balling last game, and they're going to have to try to temper that. It's tough with the Celtics because they have Jalen who can go off. They have Tatum who can go off. They just have multiple. Kemba, whenever he decides to start doing his step backs, which annoys me. When he decides to go off, he just goes off. So it's like they have multiple options, and you just never really know which one is going to go off, or if all of them are going to have a game. You just never know what's going to happen, and I think that's kind of hard to guard for. And I think again, like, it could very well be that they figure out Jalen, and then Tatum comes back and has himself a game, or Kemba has himself a game. So it's going to be interesting to see how they try to fix the mistakes from their last game, for sure.
Do you have any thoughts, Nor? We were talking about the last game, how the addition of Hayward how the addition of Hayward kind of changed things for the Celtics, and what the Heat might have to do to adjust to a fully healthy Celtics squad.
Yeah, I think Sandy raised a really good point. We've all been pretty much saying this whole time that Jimmy Butler, he's kind of like in cruise control until the fourth quarter. Like he's not even locked in, he's not invested, has no idea what's going on. And then the second, fourth quarter starts, it's like, okay, Jimmy Buckets is here. Like he's here to play. But I think we need that Jimmy Buckets all 4 quarters because like Sandy said, the Celtics do have a lot of people that they can rely on. They have a lot of number of options. And as far as Hayward being back. People were worried about Hayward coming back because they thought it might take Smart's mojo away. But he's been great. Smart's been smart. He's been himself. As far as Hayward's concerned, I feel like we don't really see what he contributes on the box score. He does little bits here and there, the way that the way that Marcus Smart would do something, the way that our Kyles would do something. It's just little instincts here on the court that you don't really see translate on the box score. So he does provide a little bit of more help for Boston. And even if that's just shooting, like that's a lot that Boston would need in terms of just to go against Miami. But I'll throw this at you guys. Do you guys think that Miami has what it takes to win 7 against Boston?
Oh, to win in 7?
Yeah.
The thing is, like, I don't know what to think about Miami. Like, I genuinely don't. I feel like throughout the season, we saw a team that was not quite in the upper echelon of the conference. Like, they seem to just be missing a piece, another all-star perhaps. Then they had the series against the Bucks, where I feel like I still don't know if I was 100% convinced, because I just thought, okay, they're just the perfect matchup against the Bucks. They have athleticism, they have shooters, they have a defensive guard in Jimmy, and then they have Bam, who can take on Giannis or counter Giannis.
Right.
So and then I saw them win the first 2 against the Celtics, and then I'm like, no, this team is just really good. Maybe I read them wrong. But then now I'm seeing the addition of Hayward, and I'm like, what can they do to counter this? Like, for example, I still think that the Celtics have adjustments to make. I think that they're going to handle the Bam pick and roll better, because Bam was getting just wide open runs to the down the lane. And Bam, he can create shots for others, and people can create shots for him, but he can't really create his own shot. So I think that they're going to try and force him to create his own shot. That's when he misses those floaters and mid ranges where it's not really his strength. Like, he's better with lobs and he's better rolling to the basket. So I feel like the Celtics still have adjustments that they can make that I haven't seen. I don't know how Boston adjusts with the addition of Hayward in particular. So I don't know what they can do differently. Perhaps Miami can have Jimmy be more aggressive. I like Sandy mentioned, he seems to just be absent the first 2 quarters of games, and I'm like,
then all of a sudden he shows
Jimmy
up.
To me reminds me of Kyle, where he's one of the best players in the world, but he's not the superstar scorer. You know what I mean? He can't score all game. Someone who can run your offense. He's extremely versatile. He's one of the best defenders in the NBA. And he showed that like plenty of times throughout this run, where I think he's like looking like a defense player of the year kind of the guy. So I don't doubt that at all. But again, he's like Kyle, where I don't know if you can rely on him to be your number 1 scorer. Perhaps he can be number 2, but I don't know if Bam makes that leap where he can do that like mid-season or mid-series. But I think that I'm seeing maybe it's because the loss is like kind of tainting my view, but I feel like we're seeing the absolute pinnacle of the capabilities from the Heat. But I feel like we haven't seen the best from Boston yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I feel like, and I also feel like Brad's gonna make adjustments, because he's, as much as I can.
Yeah, he's a great coach. We slander him, but he's a great coach.
He's a good coach. He's there for a reason. You know what I mean? So I think, again, like we haven't seen Celtics play their best basketball. If I felt like they were playing at their pinnacle and like Miami still like beating them, that would be one thing. But I feel like we're still missing that Celtics basketball that we saw in the previous series. And so with the addition of Gordon, it's going to be kind of interesting how they adjust. I'm actually kind of excited to see what happens in this game, because I think this is kind of the momentum shift. Whoever wins the series.
Yeah, 100%.
Exactly. I'm saying like whoever wins this will kind of give us an idea of what the rest of the series will look like. Like if Boston throws a counter punch, or they build even further on what they did in the last game, I can see them winning this series. But if the Heat, make the adjustments that they need to make and get Boston down 3-1, they're of course going to win it. Like, I don't know if Boston comes back from down 3-1.
Right.
So, this game I think is going to be must watch. I want to see how Jimmy in particular responds, because I think everyone's been on a high from his abilities, and he's definitely one of the best players in the world. But I want to see how he responds when his back isn't even against the wall yet.
Not yet.
But I want to see if he kind of twists the knife and takes advantage of the bird's eye view that the Heat have right now with the series lead, because I feel like you don't want to get into a 7-game series with the Celtics.
No, you don't.
If you have a chance to take them out in 5, you do
on the
it.
other side of it, you definitely don't.
I don't think I have it in me to watch the Celtics for another 7 games. I don't think I can do that. Honestly, like I almost vomit at the TV. Like it's the Celtics.
If we end up with my ideal scenario is that we end up with the Heat out of the East, and that it's like a Lakers Heat finals or a Denver Heat finals. If it's a Denver Heat finals, the agenda that I feel like this bubble season, it was all fun and games. It'll be completely delegitimized if the Lakers don't make it out. People will be like, "Oh, that bubble season? It's not real.
The bubble is not real. The bubble means nothing."
Yeah, it'll be a joke. Like in the coming year, if the Lakers don't come out, and that's like no fault of the Denver Nuggets, because if they beat the Lakers, that means that they were the best team in the West this year, and that we just didn't know it.
Right.
But
we just didn't know it. We had no idea.
If the agenda will be that this season was a lie, and then people will point to all the good teams that were kicked out, even though these
Milwaukee, like
it honestly works. That's why we need the Nuggets to win. It honestly works.
I want Jamal to get his ring. I don't care how he gets his ring. I just want him to get his ring, and I want him to get his ring now.
Imagine he gets his ring now, and then he's like happy with the ring that he has in Denver, and then he can just move on and go anywhere else. He can go and expand his defensive style, his defense.
Do you hear that?
Come home.
Come home.
Come home.
I'm like, nah, come home when I'm like old. I'm old and I know the Raptors fans are going to cheer for me no matter what I do on the floor. That's probably
he knows this. Who do you have for playoff MVP at this point?
Jamal.
Can't say Jamal Murray.
Jamal Murray. I feel like no one in the East has been consistent enough for me to give them that. Like Bam has been really good, but at the same time, he's had like games where he's kind of invisible, and his stats are good, but they're like 22 points per game and stuff. But like I think it's AD and Jamal who have been like the best players in the playoffs
for sure.
Period. Like for Jamal is like someone put out his numbers. He's rivaling like for players who have averaged 26, 5 and 5 in the playoffs. His peers are Kobe Bryant, Steph Curry, and LeBron James. Those are the only players in the top 5 right now. So if he continues his numbers, which I think he can, those numbers even sound modest to what he's been doing.
Yeah.
So if he can just get those numbers up, like I think he's by far the best player of the playoffs.
Canada basketball.
Just come home.
The only other player there as well, it's Steph Curry, Kobe, Jamal Murray, and Jokic. It's insane.
Jokic?
Yes, he's like, I think he's above Jamal in those numbers. So 26, 5 and 5.
I honestly feel like I don't know anything about basketball now that I'm watching the Nuggets do this. Who would have thought the Nuggets would be going this far, and then they would have Jokic and Jamal Murray? Like each of them pretty much have a playoff switch right now. That's a playoff switch we're watching.
Oh yeah.
And like this is not a LeBron playoff switch. It's not a Kawhi playoff switch. It's like a rookies, people that you don't really know playoff switch. And it's nuts to watch. And I mean, like Jamal, you can have the throne. Did you watch us like shower Kawhi with Game of Thrones and making him king in the north and following him on choppers? Like this is your hood. Come home.
Wasn't Jamal at final games like calling pre-games with TSN?
Oh yeah. He was home.
Like he's a Canadian boy at heart. We're set.
We know you're watching this. Like just come here.
Like 7 years.
We've always believed in you, Jamal. We've always believed in you.
Canada, we knew it was you and not Andrew Wiggins. We knew it. I called it. I had a dream.
That's crazy.
I know.
Man. He just does not claim us.
Yeah.
No, not yet.
I'm gonna come back when I'm old and I can't move on the court, and y'all gonna cheer for me. I'm telling you, he's gonna.
You used to upset Canadian fans of basketball so much, and then now they're just like, Okay.
Really?
33
No one played
on
this
his
year for us.
last legs.
Fine.
On his last legs, last like year of his career, like, oh, let me go back to Toronto and get cheered on for a year, and then
We're kind of busy right now. We have Jamal.
Have you?
We have Jamal
Yeah.
today, starting backcourt.
So I guess like we didn't really make anything on the defensive end on any of the NBA teams, but did you guys happen to see Serge Ibaka made class #1 or team #1 for All NBA Handsome, and then Kyle Lowry made All NBA Handsome team #3? How do we feel about that? I think
No
Kyle
comment.
should have been #1. You know,
That-
yeah,
Impressive. That list was impressive. She was very well versed. You could tell that she like she was looking at headshots. She was like judging. That
getting
list-
images, everything was popped up, Instagrams, all their socials. She's like comparing them side by side.
She was like answering questions in the comments where she was like, I considered so and so, and I'm like, I love this. Yeah, that list was hilarious. And it's so funny how what is it? Serge is like just handsome in the NBA where everyone just kind of fawns over it. I think it's because I see him like playing
All
for
the
us
time.
like almost every day. So
Yeah.
I just like it's Serge to
It
me.
doesn't-
So-
yeah, he deserves to be on there. That's all. I'm
no, I'm not gonna argue it. I'm not gonna argue it.
Sandy's just like, yep,
Yep.
they made the right call.
And then, yeah.
Does anyone have
Sorry?
the list at their disposal?
Ooh, no, but while you guys are talking, I can try to look it up.
I want to go through it.
Yeah, I want to see who else is on it. Because I mean, the Raptors have I guess this is now you're getting into a really stereotypical women talking about sports conversation. But I guess the Raptors have a pretty decent looking, really good looking roster.
People are gonna be like, "Oh, this is what women discuss."
We're gonna see viewership go down like
What
right
if I
now. It's like
discuss-
going down.
What if I discuss WNBA basketball like this?
This is what you signed up for. Sorry, it's Dishes and Dimes.
Respectfully quoting Mark Jackson. Respectfully.
So we're doing some research and checking to see who's the most handsome in the NBA. That's our research.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to pull out work
Okay.
calls. I love
Peace
you
out,
guys.
Sandy. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys. And
Thanks for coming, Sandy.
keep watching us. We love you. Bye, guys.
We got so much for you. Bye, Sandy. Yeah, I can't find it. But
That's okay.
I'm pretty sure the Celtics were a big part of it.
Let's see. So off season for Toronto. I think we should like do a podcast episode for this because
That would go
Toronto's
deep.
off season
Yeah.
is super interesting.
We
I
don't
think
know
it's
what's
up
gonna
there
happen.
in terms of interest. It's there with the Bucks off season in terms of the moves that they're gonna make because for the Bucks, he's gonna be setting up a contender for Giannis. And they're kind of in win now mode. Whereas for the Raptors, it's about building a future for Giannis. So it's very weird because like I feel like the next year for Masai will kind of determine whether we're talking like a team that can contend, like it's a good team and they have a shot versus building like a genuine dynasty for Toronto. So I feel you could see all those cat scratches. Rafiki just goes at me.
Rafiki. Jesus.
Oh.
Honestly, Kawhi's the same. Apparently, you have
They're
to
old
train them.
too. This is when I first got him. Like they're healing their scars now, but
Oh my God, girl. I think you can see mine. That's Kawhi. That's like a month old. Yeah.
and when people see it, I'm like, oh no, he doesn't hate me. He just does this.
Really, people see mine and they're like, "Are you okay? Like, are you feeling all right?" And I'm like, "No, it's not me. It's my cat. He's the one scratching." But no, they're bad, and I don't know
They're
how
not
to train him.
They're just like, no. And then they don't realize they have like little knives at the end of their paws.
Oh, I have no idea. And he plays that way. Like that's how he plays.
Yeah.
He thinks he's scratching and he's playing, and I'm like, "No, like I'm bleeding. It's blood." But yeah, please stop.
Anyways, but yeah, I think
But,
the next year is super important for Masai.
It's gonna be interesting to see what he does with even the players that we have right now. Like if Fred's gonna be back, is Gasol gonna be back? Is Ibaka gonna be back?
Yeah, I'm not even talking about free agents. I'm talking about like who he chooses to retain, the moves that he make. For example, like I think it's I was kind of iffy about this last season, but I think it's really important that they keep Fred, just because it's not easy getting a top point guard in this league. it's not easy retaining them. It's not easy developing them. So to have someone who's already familiar with your system, sure, he's not perfect, but he has the changes that he can make are completely doable. And oftentimes point guards don't make them until they're in their late 20s anyways. So I think that you
100%.
keep Fred. If they keep OG now before he takes a leap, which I think is like inevitable for OG, I can see him being that third star for the Raptors. I can totally see it happening. So if they keep him, if they keep Fred, I don't know about Norm's future. Earlier in the season, I was like, oh, they got to keep this guy. But I feel like I don't know if he's part of like the future moving forward. Like I think that them getting Terrence Davis and Matt Thomas was kind of like the first sign that perhaps they're looking to
moving
go
out that way.
Yeah, that they're looking to go younger at that position, more affordable. Most importantly, it's not even that they don't want Norm. It's that I don't think they can afford him because he's certainly going to opt out at some point.
I think so too. And I feel like Norm gives you the extra shooting that we really require. Like
exactly.
We don't really get that from anybody else. And Norm does become that guy for us. So his resume, I feel like if he does want more money, if he does want to opt out and do something else, he has the privilege to. He's able to.
Exactly. Like he's up for money. I think that if he has like another great start to the season, he's probably going to end up commanding like a little less than like Buddy Hield money, like good millions per year. So much above what he has right now. So that's important. Also setting up so that you have like the big rotation is going to be interesting with Serge and Mark expiring and the Raptors not really having any bigs in starting development yet. Like I don't know if they keep Duan Hernandez hasn't had any run yet, hasn't had much run yet. So yeah, a lot of interesting decisions from Masai to make. And what decisions he makes is going to be very telling about what
his future.
Happening. Yeah. So for example, I'm kind of 50-50 on Kyle's future. I think I would love for them to keep him. That's like my ideal scenario.
My heart just dropped. Yeah. What are you talking about? 50-50.
So ideally, I think they keep him. And if they do keep him, I think that means that they're anticipating contending very soon. If they don't keep him, perhaps it means that they go a little younger, and that they kind of
put their money on Fred at that point.
Yeah, put their money on Fred. So if they do get rid of Norm, if they do trade Norm, I think they keep Kyle because you may as well at that point, keep that skill at that position. So I keep that backcourt too, so that you can just have Terrence and Matt come off the bench and get some run and develop so that they're playoff ready eventually. And I think they will be. They're really exciting prospects at that position. So, yeah.
I know everyone talks about trades and all that stuff, and I'm just here like run it back, Masai. Come on, just do it.
Did you hear his press conference?
He I feel like he's very much locked into the fact that he wants to bring everybody back. And I don't know if I blame him, because if you look at the series, the Boston series, it poses to us that we have a chance. Like we always had a chance. That was without Pascal doing anything. That was without Mark doing anything. That was without anyone really doing anything.
Yeah.
It was solely because of your defense, and it was because Kyle was carrying you on offense, and OG was there from time to time. That's what pushed us to Game 7. So, and if that's what you did against the Celtics, and you swept the Brooklyn Nets. Oh, the completely making a different team right now. But and we swept the Brooklyn Nets. I feel like you understand that this team has an extra shot. And if you give Pascal another year to get better, you give Fred another year to get better, you give your young core another year to go practice and learn what they need to learn better. I feel like this team can still do really well next year. I know people are putting in, KD's Nets and stuff, but I don't see them doing that great.
They might need a year, I feel like, to maybe get things going and maybe even figure out their roster. But yeah, and there is no super team in the NBA. You're always going to have a shot in today's game. There's no scary dynasty right now. There's no unbeatable team. And honestly, if they run it back and they're not the 2 seed like they were, which is very likely, especially when we don't know what's going to happen, they might be like the Heat's position where they're like maybe a tier down, but still have a shot. But even if you flame out in the second round again, that's really good experience for your young guys. Like that's really invaluable experience for Pascal, for Fred, for OG. Kyle had those chances, you know what I mean? DeMar had those chances where they flamed out, but they would always come back with small tweaks and use that to help build their experience to make them better players. So, and we saw how much has benefited Kyle having those chances.
Definitely. I feel like if Kyle was still on the floor in that last minute, it still could have been anyone's game. Like, I don't want to open that door again, but like it really could have been anyone's game.
Like you could tell he was watching and like seeing all the mistakes happen. Like
he's like dying on the inside. Like I could have done that. I knew what I needed to do.
Yeah. Norm block, messed up play. Turnover. Like I'm just like
I know. It was as if like they lost their confidence as Kyle went out. You know what I mean? Like it was really
you want him.
They knew moments. Yeah, it was rough. But that's also why I feel like because I think Kyle only just gets better with age. And
that's almost I said.
Yeah, exactly. And that's also why I don't feel like next year, like I don't see him having a big decline. Like maybe he won't be as great as he is as he was this season, but I don't see him even like declining that much either. And he's kind of like a Chris Paul type of player, right? Where even if they do decline in their shooting, their IQ makes up for anything because they read the game like no one else can read the game. He understands who needs to be where. And when you have a guy like that, he's going to make sure that you win every single game. So
no, you're absolutely right. I don't think his decline will be sharp if it does happen because he's shown no signs this season. If he does show signs next season, I think it's just going to result in maybe fewer minutes. Maybe he rations his energy better. Maybe he doesn't play like 38 minutes in the regular season, 36 minutes average.
You give more time to Fred kind of thing.
Give more ball handling duties to Fred. That's kind of what happened in the beginning of the season where Fred was, I feel like, the primary point guard and then Kyle would show up in the fourth if it was a tight game. Then we saw that Kyle was still better than Fred. So dominant point guard later on in the season. And that might happen again next season. But if they pay Fred, first of all, I think that a big stipulation for Fred is being the lead point guard. That seems to be important. I think it's why he started this season and he took the challenge and he delivered. I do think that if they pay him going forward, Kyle might have to transition to being a shooting guard. It sucks because I feel like that's not Fred's ideal role. I feel like he's better off ball. He's better.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to be like, I almost feel like it's way better if Kyle still is the one who's playmaking and then you just have, Fred for your catch and shoot.
Yeah.
Because that's what he's really good at, like you said. He's really good at his Steph Curry type, just pass it. It's not Steph, sorry, Klay Thompson type. You just pass him the ball and he goes right at it. Sorry?
He's a scorer. He's
exactly.
Like, I don't know if you remember the Heat game in the bubble where he had a career high and he was just doing ISOs, coming off screen. Like he is a really good, he kind of reminds me of like a less talented like Kyrie where he's looking to score. He's not looking to pass all the time. So if his in-between game, like his mid-range and floater develop to make him a better shooting guard, perhaps that can be his ideal position because I still don't see that pick and roll maestro patience kind of thing that Kyle does so well, where you can kind of
exactly. I think as a very successful point guard, you get everyone else going on your team, and I just don't know if Fred would have the capability of doing that. At least not next year. So like you said, his role would come off better just being a shooting guard. That way Kyle can get everybody else going as well as himself. Whereas, like you said, whenever Fred has the ball, we're kind of just like, okay, pass the ball, Fred.
Yeah.
Somebody else. That's enough.
He's gotten much better this season. I remember
but so much better.
Like a running joke a season or two ago where Fred was just known to dribble 23 seconds of the clock down.
Oh my God.
Pass it to Pascal for a bailout or pass it to Kawhi, for a bailout. Or when he would dribble for 12 seconds and then pass it to Kyle, then Kyle would do an actual play. Like that was his thing. Hopefully he can get to a point where he can dribble it and make something happen for himself even. I think that's the next step for Fred. And it sucks that Kyle being so good is like complicating everything.
I mean, it's great luxury for us to have as fans. We're like, who do we want to, start?
Yeah, our pick of point guards, and then you have teams
honestly
who are trying to get rid of theirs.
You're salivating over ours, exactly. Like how much were the Knicks going to offer him? What was the rumor? 30?
22 million was the rumor. I feel like if the Raptors offer him a little less than that, and he gets to play on a competent franchise, it'll be okay for him. Like I don't know, 19 million on a much better team.
I feel like Fred likes the playoffs.
Yeah,
so I think he would want to play for the Raptors. Like what are you doing with the Knicks? You're just getting money. Like literally all that you're going to be doing. And then I guess we heard from Adam Silver not too long ago that the earlier start date that they're looking at is going to be January. Are we thinking there's going to be a bubble for that as well?
Sorry?
Do you think there will be a bubble for that as well? Or do you think they would be like, that's kind of like just his ballpark and he's going to wait to see actual fans coming into the stadium and everything?
I honestly don't know. I think it all depends on, they could perhaps do a modified bubble, not like putting everyone in a quarantined campus at Disney World, perhaps, but I can see them, that's like extreme, but maybe they put the conference or the divisions in a bubble, you know what I mean? Like like maybe like every division's in a bubble. They play each other a few times, and then everyone kind of shifts so that they can play each other again, and then maybe it's just like mini series continuously. Probably
a whole different template then, right?
Sorry?
I said that would be probably a whole different template, right? Like if they want to do a bubble again, I don't think we would see the same seating that we see right now. It would be probably a whole different, whatever Adam Silver wants to try out in a whole different bubble area.
Records are going to be affected heavily. But yeah, so I can see them doing that. Like maybe each conference is like you have the West and the East, and they play in their own contrived bubbles or something like that. Or maybe they can do what baseball does, or in football, which is like invite some fans in and make sure it's really regulated, like temperature checks and whatnot. But hopefully by the time the season does restart, we do have a vaccine.
I don't
know how
the question also, I feel like, is would the players want to play in a different bubble after this? Like, I don't know if they would.
Gasol will come back because, like, why would he come back if he can play in Europe closer to his family versus staying in the United States, which is falling apart in another?
And it's so true.
Like,
I mean, that's the logic we should be taking to every single free agent meeting and just being like, you really want to go play for an American team? Like, are you sure about that? Have you been watching the news?
Just like pull out CNN.
This is our meeting here, CNN. This is Giannis and Masai the whole time.
Yeah, it's just a PowerPoint of a news story.
All right.
Fire.
Yeah, seriously. Okay, I guess we can take some questions before we log off for the day. Anybody would like to ask Yas and I?
Oh wait, do we
anything?
Let me.
What are you looking at? Matt Barnes sucks, actually, asks, is Fred gonna get the bag?
Is Fred gonna get the bag?
He's gonna get the bag, just don't know where.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna get paid. I feel like this league is starved for point guards, competent point guards. Even despite his limitations, he'd be like, he's a plus minus king. He'll benefit the court when he's on it, or benefit the team when he's on the court.
Yeah.
So.
And his resume kind of speaks for itself too. Like you can't really go up against his finals performance.
Yeah. He's always gonna improve on a year-to-year basis. He has a precedent for that. Some team is gonna pay him, and I think it's gonna be the Raptors, honestly. I was kind of iffy about it maybe several months ago, but now I'm like, yeah, they're definitely gonna keep him.
Yeah, I see that too. I mean, it makes the best sense, probably. And for both of us, for the Raptors and for Fred. And then Tristan Gray says, with the Celtics having a coach from PEI, does that soften your correct opinion of the team?
Wait,
no.
It's not Brad, is it?
I was going to say, it's not Brad. There's no way Brad is. Brad Stevens, PEI. Let me quickly double check. Have I been slandering one of my own?
Nor becomes a Stan account.
For the Boston Celtics, I would rather jump off of something. BEI Boston coach. No, it doesn't. Scott
It's so
Morrison?
funny how the Celtics have never really been our rivals. Like we've kind of been on the same trajectory as them over the years, where we've been like a top team with a dominant point guard and wing players. But yeah, so it's so funny how like this season is when like it's a feud.
Oh my goodness. It sucks too. Like the way that we started off this whole season, we were going so well. We're like, we don't need Kawhi. We can defend our championship, give us the bubble. And then you lose in 7 to the Celtics.
Yeah.
Like it's like 2020.
Us all season. Like I feel like the 2 and 3 spot were constantly flipping as the season
really
went.
True. I'm just happy it wasn't a sweep because it could have been a sweep so easily.
Oh yeah. So I'm
imagine that.
Like, it's literally I feel like the toughest matchup besides the Clippers for the Raptors. I feel like any other team they would have handedly dealt with, but when it comes to teams with lots of scoring wings, like more than 2 scoring wings, it becomes difficult because then the lack of size is exposed.
Especially when we're not shooting.
Yeah. So sorry.
Especially when we're not shooting. We're not helping ourselves.
Yeah. So it makes it tough. They defended the perimeter really well because they had so much mobility and length, and that's when our shooting becomes an issue because you have Kyle and Fred start going 0 of 11 and like 3 of 12 and stuff because the length bothers them. They're not usually, they're the type of guys who might go 7 of 10 on certain nights.
Or they can screen better against other teams too, but against the Celtics, just have so many players that you can't really hide behind.
Yeah.
Jerome asks, would you consider yourself more of a player that thrives in a bubble virtual crowd situation or Scotiabank or, we the North home crowd?
Hi, Jerome.
Hi, Jerome. Pod's friends.
Let's see. Would you consider yourself?
I think I'm more of a Pascal.
Where you're like
I trash talk a lot, so I think so. I would be doing the Embiid, the airplane and everything. Like I would just get off on the crowd's energy. So I think I'm more
serious.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd be so extra. I'd be phantom of the process, like just extra as hell. Giannis me mugging after every single
shimmying for everything.
Oh, shimmying like Steph Curry.
Shimmying back and forth, defense and offense. You can't stop me. You can't. Like, it's gonna be bad. People would hate us, but I'm like, players are so nice. Like, I would be high-fiving the crowd on the bench, pulling the LeBron, drinking beer with people in the crowd. God. That still haunts me.
More flashbacks.
Yeah, PTSD.
Oh God.
But I think for me, and I feel like Pascal would answer that the same way as us.
Yeah. Oh, we need to get him on the podcast.
I'm watching right now. When I come tomorrow, Pascal, I know you have time now, unless you're with Rico Hines
in work. You better be. No, I'm sure.
You better be.
Someone
who knows,
not doubt in the least.
Oh, 100%. He's going to come back stronger, better, and be in the MVP conversation. I'm calling that now. Manifesting Pascal the MVP 2021 conversation.
17 votes. Insane. That's
nuts. That's insane. And
when you look at the half of the season, it completely makes sense though.
Yeah, I was gonna say it completely makes before March 11th, it completely makes sense. I get it. Like we would be the ones I don't know, burning Twitter down if he didn't make MVP. But after the playoff performance, it's kind of like, okay, you get it. But all right, I guess that leaves us to the hour mark. And that's it for Dishes and Dimes takeover for Hoop Talks today. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you for putting up with our technology mishaps and just not being prepared. But we will be, I promise. We'll get there. But thank you for your questions, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Nora.